The story is about a boy named Tim Lee, who has the strange and powerful ability to travel back in time. He wants to use this gift to find love and happiness in his life. Tim lives with his family near the seashore. His father is a cheerful, friendly man, and his mother is kind and caring. Tim also has an uncle, a man with a dreamy and wandering mind, who often seems lost in his own thoughts. Then there is his younger sister, Catherine, whom everyone lovingly calls Kit Kat. She is the heart of the house, full of life, and Tim adores her deeply. Every New Year, their family throws a big party, and everyone enjoys it with music, laughter, and fun. After one such party, Tim's father calls him the next morning. He tells Tim that since he has now turned 21, it is time for him to know a very big family secret. Curious, Tim asks what it is. His father says, "Tim, the men of our family have a very unusual gift. We can travel back in time. We cannot go to the future, but we can revisit the past." At first, Tim thinks his dad is joking, but his father explains the process. You need to go to a dark, quiet place. Close your eyes, clench your fists, and think of the moment you want to return to. When you open your eyes, you'll be there. Still doubtful, Tim decides to test it. He goes into a cupboard, clenches his fists, and thinks of the New Year's party from the night before. Suddenly, he finds himself wearing the same clothes from that night, and when he steps out, he hears the party music again. Shocked and amazed, he realizes his father was telling the truth. This power really works. He returns to the present and asks his dad what he should do with this ability. Tim says he wants money and fame, but his father warns him, don't ever use it for wealth or success. Your grandfather did the same, and he ended up alone. Rich men are not truly happy. Never run away from work. It gives meaning to life. Even your uncle wasted his life chasing easy things. Use this power for something truly special, something that matters. Tim thinks for a moment and says, then I will use it to find love, to get my girlfriend, to have happiness in my life. His father smiles and replies, yes, love is one of the most special things you can fight for. Sometime later, Tim's sister Kit Kat brings her boyfriend Jimmy to the house. With Jimmy comes his cousin Charlotte, who is very beautiful. She plans to stay at Tim's family home for 2 months. From the very first day, Tim feels strongly attracted to Charlotte. He quietly decides that he will try his best to win her love. He spends as much time with her as possible. He plays lawn tennis with her, goes for walks, and talks to her whenever he gets the chance. For 2 months, he gives her all his attention, hoping that she will one day feel the same way for him. But when the 2 months are about to end and Charlotte's departure is near, Tim realizes he has not yet confessed his feelings. On the night before she is to leave, he gathers courage and goes to her room. With his heart racing, he finally tells Charlotte that he loves her. Charlotte listens quietly, then replies gently, Tim, if only you had told me this a month ago, maybe we could have had some time together, but now it's too late. Her words strike Tim deeply. He regrets waiting so long, but then he remembers his special gift. Without wasting a second, he runs to the cupboard, closes the door, clenches his fists, and travels back 1 month. Once again, he goes straight to Charlotte's room and expresses his love, but Charlotte gives almost the same reply. She smiles faintly and says, I am glad you told me this, but why don't you ask me again the day before I leave? That's what I am thinking. Tim is left stunned. He realizes that even though he used time travel to confess earlier, Charlotte's heart has not changed. The next morning, Charlotte leaves the house. Tim feels a deep sadness, but also learns his first real lesson about time travel. You can go back and change your words or actions, but you cannot force someone to love you. A few days later, Tim decides to leave home and move to London. He wants to start a new chapter in life, begin his law practice, and hopefully find love. He stays with his father's old friend, who is a playwright, and also works on his legal career at the same time. 6 months pass in London, but Tim doesn't meet anyone special. Then one evening, he goes out to a small restaurant with a friend. There, in that simple and ordinary moment, fate surprises him. He meets a young woman named Mary. Mary is warm, funny, and kind. Tim feels an instant connection with her. They talk for a long time, laughing and sharing stories. When the evening comes to an end, Tim asks for her number. Mary writes it down for him, smiles, and says softly, I hope we meet again soon. That night, Tim is filled with excitement and joy. For the first time, he feels that a girl might truly come into his life, and that hope makes him glow with happiness. But when he returns home, he finds his uncle, the playwright with whom he lives in London, looking very troubled. Tim asks him what happened, and his uncle explains with a heavy heart, today was the first performance of my new play, but during the show, one of the main actors forgot his dialogues. The audience grew restless, people began leaving the hall, and by the end, hardly anyone was paying attention. Now the reviews will be terrible, and all my effort will be wasted. Hearing this, Tim feels sad for his uncle. He doesn't want him to suffer such disappointment. So Tim gently says, "Don't worry, I'll handle everything." Then without wasting time, he uses his special power. He goes a few hours back, directly into the time of the play. When the moment comes and the actor begins to stumble, Tim is ready. Quietly, he guides the actor, reminding him of the correct lines. This time, the actor speaks his part perfectly. The audience laughs, claps, and enjoys every scene. The play ends in a huge success, and the hall is full of applause. Later, Tim sees his uncle smiling with relief and pride, his heart lightened. But then something happens that shocks Tim. When he checks his mobile, Mary's number's gone. Since he had gone back and lived those hours differently, the timeline where she gave him her number no longer exists. That chance was erased. Panicked, Tim rushes to the restaurant where he had first met Mary. But it is too late. Mary and her friend have already left. He realizes he is trapped in a painful choice. If he goes back to the moment when Mary gave him her number, he will lose the timeline where his uncle's play became a success. And if he keeps his uncle's success, then he must lose Mary's number. He cannot have both. For the first time, Tim feels the heavy cost of playing with time. Upset and restless, Tim tries to think of another way. Then as he reads the newspaper, he sees an advertisement for the Kate Moss clothing brand. He suddenly remembers that Mary once told him she loved Kate Moss. Hope sparks inside him again. Tim waits outside that clothing store every day, hoping to see her. He waits for a whole week, and finally one day, Mary arrives. But because they never met in this version of time, she doesn't recognize him. Still, Tim doesn't give up. He strikes up a conversation, talks kindly, and after a while convinces Mary and her friend to join him for coffee. At the cafe, while they are chatting, Tim takes a chance and asks, "Mary, do you have a boyfriend?" Mary smiles and answers, "Yes, I do." Tim is shocked. "What? That can't be possible." Mary laughs and replies, "Why not? I started dating him just a week ago." A moment later, her boyfriend Rupert arrives. Tim feels his heart sink, but instead of giving up, he cleverly asks Rupert, "So tell me, where did you meet Mary?" Mary answers for him, "At a boring party." Tim leans forward. "Which party was that?" Mary's friend casually adds, "It was at my house." Tim quickly asks for the address. Mary looks at him suspiciously and says, "Why are you asking all this? Are you a detective?" Tim smiles nervously and says, "No, I just want to imagine everything clearly." Finally, her friend gives him the address. That night, Tim again uses his gift. He goes back 1 week to the evening of that party. This time, he arrives before Rupert shows up. He sees Mary standing alone in the corner, looking bored and a little sad. Tim walks up to her with confidence and begins a conversation. He tells her things she loves, about Kate Moss, about her thoughts on boring parties and little details that only she had told him before. Mary is surprised and delighted. When Tim suggests stepping out of the dull party, she agrees immediately. As they walk out together, Rupert arrives at the door, but he is too late. History has already changed. Tim and Mary go for dinner, laughing and talking like old friends. He walks her home, and that night, they grow very close. They share deep affection, and for the first time, Tim feels what true intimacy means. Overcome with joy, he even uses his power to relive the night again and again, savoring every detail. After this, their love begins to blossom like spring. They spend many happy days together, enjoying walks, meals, and small joys that make life sweet. Slowly, Tim realizes that Mary is not just another girl. She is the one. She is the person he can truly love and build a life with. Finally, with his heart full of courage, Tim proposes to Mary. She smiles warmly, her eyes shining, and says yes. Tim's dream of love has finally come true. Tim takes Mary to meet his family by the sea. Everyone likes her at once. His father is warm, his mother is kind, and even Tim's quiet, absent-minded uncle smiles and nods with approval. While they are all at the dining table, Tim announces, "We've decided to get married soon." His uncle looks confused and asks, "Who are you marrying?" "Mary," Tim replies. "Oh, good," the uncle says with a straight face. "If it were someone else, I'd be very upset." Tim adds, half joking, "We're doing it quickly because I'm going to be a father." The uncle turns to Mary. "You're going to be a mother? Then who's the father?" "Tim," Mary says, trying not to laugh. The uncle sighs in relief. "If it wasn't Tim, I'd be very sad." Soon the wedding day arrives, and everything that can go wrong does. It rains, the speeches go off track, and small problems keep popping up. Each time, Tim quietly slips away, uses his time travel trick, and fixes the moment. The rain pauses, the speech gets corrected, the timing improves. In the end, the wedding becomes beautiful and joyful. After marriage, Tim and Mary are blessed with a daughter, and Tim loves her with all his heart. Life becomes steady and happy. Tim stops using time travel much. He doesn't feel he needs it. He has a family, a home, and peace. They move into a bigger house. On their daughter's birthday, the whole family gathers. Tim is still waiting for his sister, Kit Kat. The doorbell rings. Tim opens it, but it's not Kit Kat. It's her boyfriend Jimmy, looking worried. "Where is Kit Kat?" Tim asks. "I don't know," Jimmy says. "She was drunk. We argued. She drove off. I haven't seen her since." Tim's heart sinks. Soon they hear terrible news. Kit Kat has had a car accident. Her face is badly injured. The truth is, Kit Kat has been unhappy for a long time. Her relationship with Jimmy hurts her more than it helps. She started drinking, and things kept getting worse. After some days, Kit Kat begins to recover, but she is still sad inside. She tells Tim, "Every family has a loser, in studies or in life. Maybe I'm the loser in our family." Tim is hurt by her words. He takes her hand and says, "You're as important to me as Mary is. You're not a loser." He decides to trust her with the family secret. "Our family, the men, can travel in time," he says. Kit Kat doesn't believe him. "That's a bad joke," she says. "It's not a joke," Tim replies. He takes her into a dark closet, tells her to hold his hand, and together they travel back to the New Year's party where she first met Jimmy. They step out into the past. The music is loud, the room is full, and time hasn't hurt her yet. Tim points to the moment when Kit Kat would have met Jimmy. He stops her. Just then, Jimmy's already flirting with another girl. Kit Kat sees it with her own eyes. Anger and clarity rise together. She walks up to Jimmy and slaps him. He has no idea why, but Kit Kat understands everything now. She turns away and never meets him for the first time. Tim and Kit Kat return to the present, there now. The timeline has shifted. Kit Kat is no longer tied to Jimmy. Instead, she finds herself drawn to Jay, one of Tim's good friends, someone kind and steady. In this version of time, Jay already cares for her, and she can feel it. For the first time in a long while, Kit Kat's life has a new, gentle beginning. When Tim changes the past of his sister Kit Kat, her life improves. She is finally happy. But when Tim rushes home to hug his little daughter, he is shocked. The child in the house is not his daughter at all. It is a son. His daughter never existed in this version of time. Tim is heartbroken. He loves his daughter deeply and cannot imagine life without her. Shaken, he runs to his father for advice. His father listens quietly and then explains gently, "I should have told you this earlier. You must never go back and change anything that happened before your child was conceived. If you do, the chain of time shifts. The exact moment of conception changes. The sperm is different, and so the child is different. That's why your daughter has disappeared. She was never born in this timeline." Tim feels crushed, but he understands. He cannot live in a world without his little girl. So he returns again to the past and undoes his interference. He lets Kit Kat meet Jimmy again, which sadly leads to her car accident once more. At the hospital, Tim and Mary sit by Kit Kat's side, but now Tim sees clearly. Jimmy is not her future. Somewhere in her heart, Kit Kat can love someone better. Someone like Jay, Tim's loyal friend. Slowly, Tim guides her in that direction. In the corrected timeline, Kit Kat and Jay grow close and eventually build a life together. Back in his own family, Tim and Mary are blessed with a second child, a baby boy. Now Tim has 2 children, and his home is full of laughter. Life feels good, steady, and safe. But then, heavy news arrives. Tim learns that his father has cancer and only a few weeks left to live. His world shakes. He goes to his father in tears and asks if there is anything they can do with their gift of time travel to save him. His father, calm and wise, shakes his head. "No, Tim, we cannot fix everything. Many things in life are beyond our control. Life is both sour and sweet. We must take both sides." He smiles faintly and adds, "Maybe my smoking caused this, but I never wanted to change that habit. Because once, long ago, when I was smoking, your mother noticed me. She liked me that way. If I had quit, maybe we never would have met, and maybe you and your sister would never have been born. I would never risk changing that." Tim realizes the truth. Some pains cannot be undone, even with the power of time travel. Some losses are simply a part of life. Jesus was the Son of God, yet even he had to leave this world one day. With this thought, Tim's father explains to him that death is something no one can escape. He also shares that he had known about his illness for a long time, but chose not to tell the family, because instead of filling their days with sadness, he wanted to spend as much time as possible with them in happiness. Using his gift of time travel, he often went back to live those same family moments again and again, cherishing them more deeply each time. Then Tim's father tells him another secret about how he has lived his life. He explains that most people live their days once, often full of stress, worries, and tension. We get so caught up in problems that we miss the simple beauty around us. But he used his power differently. He would live each day once like everyone else, then go back and live the same day a second time. The second time, with no rush and no worry, he could notice the little joys he missed before, the laughter, the sunshine, the warmth of family. By doing this, even ordinary days became beautiful. Tim tries this himself, and soon he realizes that his father was right. Life looks completely different when you slow down and pay attention. The same day that first seemed stressful now feels full of love and beauty when seen again. But there are also days one never wants to relive, like the day his father finally leaves this world. On that day, time travel offers no comfort. Tim and his family are left brokenhearted. Yet whenever Tim misses his father deeply, he still goes back to the past, visits him, and talks with him. These meetings continue, and they give Tim strength. But one day, Mary, his wife, says to him, "Why don't we have another child? I want another baby." Tim knows this will change everything. If they have another child, he will never again be able to travel back to see his father. Because just like before, if he returns to a time before the new child's birth, even the smallest change could mean a different baby is born. Still, he knows he cannot refuse Mary. She becomes pregnant, and Tim realizes he must say goodbye to his father forever. So Tim goes back one last time. He tells his dad that this will be their final meeting, that after this, he can never return. His father listens quietly and then says, "Let's go for one last walk together, down the corridors of our past. If we are careful, nothing will go wrong." They travel to one of Tim's childhood days, walking side by side on the seashore. The two of them run, laugh, and talk like they once did, holding on to the simple joy of being together. It is a farewell without words, written in the sound of waves and the calm of the sea. After that moment, Tim returns to the present and accepts the truth that no matter how much we love someone, one day we must let them go. From that time onward, Tim no longer uses time travel. Instead, he lives by the second part of his father's secret. He learns to live every day fully, as though it is already his second chance. Earlier, he needed to repeat days to notice their beauty, but now he can see it the first time itself. He realizes that happiness is not hidden in changing the past, but in changing how we see the present. Tim reflects, every person in this world is a time traveler, moving forward day by day. We should not waste our days. We should fill them with happiness. Each moment is the same. It is our thinking and our perspective that makes it happy or sad. That is why we should always choose to be happy. And with this powerful message, the story ends.